It was a night of laughter, celebration, and friendship, until everything changed in an instant. Behind smiling faces and joyful chatter, secrets lurked, and danger hid in plain sight. One wrong moment, one hidden grudge, and a perfect night turned into a nightmare. What happened inside that loft would shock everyone, unravel friendships, and leave scars that could never heal. This is the story of betrayal, murder, and chilling truth. The evening air in Portland, Oregon, was unusually warm for mid-August, and the city hummed softly under the glow of street lamps. Inside a loft on S.E. Alder Street, laughter, music, and the smell of pizza, wine, and birthday cake filled the air. It was Liam Reynolds' 28th birthday, a private celebration attended by his closest friends. Neon lights flickered across the walls, casting colorful patterns on guests laughing, talking, and dancing. Liam moved from group to group, glass in hand, smiling at each friend as if unaware of the subtle tensions simmering beneath the surface. Sophie Miller, Liam's childhood friend, clinked glasses with him, snapping selfies for social media while her eyes occasionally drifted toward Ryan Blake, Liam's business partner. Ryan's phone buzzed constantly, and each glance at it seemed to tighten his jaw. Ethan Ward, Ryan's college friend, tried to keep the mood light, telling loud jokes and laughing boisterously, while Maya Collins, new in town, observed quietly from a corner, nervously adjusting her hair and scanning the room. The loft was alive with energy, but beneath the laughter, undercurrents of tension moved unseen. Near the bar, Ryan and Liam exchanged hushed words. Their conversation seemed casual to anyone watching, yet there was a subtle friction, a tension that no one else noticed. Ethan, oblivious to it, continued telling stories, eliciting laughter from some, while Sophie felt a tiny prickling sensation at the back of her neck. Something was off, though she couldn't quite place it. Maya, too, sensed unease, her eyes tracking every subtle movement of the guests. The loft itself was perfect for the night. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed the glowing city outside, and neon party lights cast alternating blue, red, and pink hues. Guests danced near the living area, while others clustered near the bar, drinks in hand. Confetti floated lazily in the air, reflecting light like tiny mirrors. The sounds of the party, clinking glasses, muffled music, and laughter created a layered soundtrack of celebration that concealed the looming darkness. As the night progressed, Ryan's subtle tension became more noticeable. He glanced repeatedly toward the bathroom and the back of the loft, movements seemingly innocent but calculated. Sophie and Maya, though distracted by music and laughter, caught glimpses of these moments, a warning unheeded. In retrospect, each glance, each pause, and each frown was a silent signal of what was about to unfold. By 11 p.m., the lights flickered briefly, causing the music to hiccup. Guests laughed, thinking it a minor glitch. But for those who noticed, a subtle prickle of unease settled in. Liam moved toward the back of the loft and disappeared from sight for a few seconds. Sophie assumed he had gone to the bathroom, but instinct nudged her toward checking, a creeping sense of dread forming in her chest. This fleeting moment would mark the turning point of the evening. The night that began with joy would soon spiral into horror. The celebration continued, yet shadows lingered in the corners, subtle enough to be ignored, but real enough to foreshadow tragedy. Laughter and music would soon be replaced by screams and chaos, as unseen forces quietly prepared to shatter the night. Every glance, every movement, every whispered word had meaning, and none of the guests yet understood how critical those moments were. Life often seems perfect in fleeting moments, but beneath every smile and laugh, there can be currents of tension and malice. Tonight, these currents would rise, and a night of joy would descend into a nightmare few would ever forget. The loft, once filled with music, laughter, and neon light, suddenly shifted. At exactly 11 p.m., a brief flicker of lights caused the bass to drop and music to stutter. Guests laughed nervously, thinking it was just a minor glitch. But for those paying attention, a subtle sense of unease pricked at the edges of the celebration. Liam Reynolds, holding a half-full glass of red wine, drifted toward the back of the loft and disappeared from sight, unnoticed by most. Sophie Miller, sensing something amiss, felt a growing dread and decided to check the bathroom, an instinct she couldn't ignore. Pushing the slightly ajar bathroom door, Sophie froze. The sight of Liam lying lifeless on the tile floor, blood pooling around him, sent a piercing scream through the loft. Chaos erupted instantly. Guests rushed toward the scene, some dialing 911, others too stunned to move. Ethan Ward grabbed Sophie's arm, trying to steady her, while Maya Collins backed away, eyes wide with horror. The once vibrant atmosphere had been replaced by panic, disbelief, and terror. In the confusion, one figure remained almost unnoticed. A shadow lingered near the corner of the loft, observing reactions quietly, blending with the chaos. No one realized that this presence, calm and deliberate, had orchestrated the night's horror with meticulous precision. Every frantic movement, every cry, and every fearful glance played directly into the perpetrator's plan. The loft became a storm of emotion. Guests screamed, some fainted, and phones recorded frantic 911 calls as chaos mixed with the fading bass of party music. Sophie crouched beside Liam, tears falling freely, while Ethan attempted to console her, his own voice betraying panic. Maya's alertness grew, noticing subtle signs others overlooked, but fear paralyzed most of the crowd. Ryan Blake, however, remained calm, his eyes scanning the room with an almost unsettling composure, observing how panic spread around him. Police sirens soon wailed outside, red and blue lights reflecting through loft windows. Officers Emily Hart and Jacob Lee secured the scene, guiding guests away from the bathroom and collecting evidence. The loft, once a space of celebration, became a carefully sealed crime scene. Every piece of glass, blood spatter, and footprint was documented, every movement logged, and every witness interviewed. Even amidst the chaos, forensic teams began reconstructing the scene. Blood patterns suggested a struggle near the sink. Broken glass indicated defensive action, and a blood-stained jacket hinted at deliberate misdirection. Lipstick found on a glass did not belong to any female guest, adding an unsettling layer of complexity. Every detail mattered, revealing a crime that had been executed with both precision and calculation. Detectives Hart and Lee meticulously pieced together the timeline. The brief blackout provided the opportunity. Liam disappeared. Sophie discovered the body. Panic spread, and authorities arrived. Each step, captured on CCTV or remembered by guests, was analyzed for clues. Behavior, glance, hesitation, and panic all became critical components in understanding how the night had turned so suddenly from joy to horror. As the initial investigation unfolded, it became clear that human behavior offered as many clues as physical evidence. Ryan's controlled demeanor, Sophie's visible distress, Ethan's forced humor, and Maya's alert observation all painted a psychological map of the loft that night. Observing reactions became as crucial as analyzing fingerprints or blood spatter, for the truth often lies in how people respond when confronted with terror. By the time the loft was secured, the once celebratory space had been transformed into a haunting scene of fear and grief. Confetti floated in the air like ghosts of a night that no longer existed, and every guest carried the memory of horror, a memory that would linger far longer than the physical traces left behind. In an instant, laughter can turn to screams, and a night of celebration can become a night of horror. Every heartbeat counted, every detail mattered, and every subtle movement had significance. This was the moment everything changed, and nothing would ever be the same again. The aftermath of the horror left the loft in a state of controlled chaos. Flashing red and blue lights reflected off broken glass, while officers guided shaken guests to safety. Detectives Emily Hart and Jacob Lee immediately took control, ensuring no one tampered with evidence. The loft, which had only moments ago echoed with laughter, now carried the scent of blood, fear, and stale alcohol. Forensic teams meticulously documented every inch of the space, capturing photographs of blood spatter, broken glass, and footprints while noting objects that might have been moved during the struggle. Every detail became a critical piece of the puzzle. Investigators turned to the loft's CCTV footage to reconstruct the night. Cameras had captured wide angles of the party, but the key moments were obscured by the brief blackout. However, shadows in the background, subtle movements, and glances toward the bathroom offered vital clues. Physical evidence, including a blood-stained jacket, fingerprints, and a mysterious lipstick mark on a glass, began to emerge as critical leads. Each item suggested not just violence, but calculated intent. Guest interviews revealed a mix of terror, confusion, and conflicting accounts. Sophie Miller recalled seeing Liam near the cake moments before he disappeared, while Ryan Blake insisted he had been near the bar. Ethan Ward's statements were vague, almost rehearsed, and Maya Collins described precise observations that occasionally contradicted others. Detectives noted these discrepancies carefully, knowing that panic often distorts memory, but inconsistencies can also expose deception. Forensic analysis revealed the blood spatter, patterns, and broken glass suggested a struggle near the bathroom sink. The blood-stained jacket, found near the bar, indicated the perpetrator had staged parts of the scene. The lipstick on the glass became a peculiar clue, potentially left intentionally to mislead investigators. Every trace pointed to meticulous planning, not a spontaneous act of violence. As detectives pieced together the timeline, the brief blackout at 11 p.m., Liam's disappearance, Sophie's discovery of the body, and the arrival of authorities, patterns of calculated execution began to emerge. The perpetrator had leveraged the chaos to commit the crime efficiently, returning to the main room to blend in seamlessly. Observation of guest behavior added another layer of understanding, revealing subtle cues of anxiety, guilt, or composure. Ryan Blake's calmness, contrasted with Sophie's panic and Ethan's forced humor, drew particular attention. Investigators began mapping the crime scene with painstaking detail. Blood spatter, broken glass, and object placement suggested deliberate manipulation. The shadow captured on CCTV indicated presence and timing during the blackout. Each movement, each glance, each hesitation, even in panic, became part of a larger psychological and physical reconstruction of the crime. By 1 a.m., the loft had been transformed from a site of celebration into a meticulously documented crime scene. Every witness statement, forensic detail, and observed reaction contributed to forming a profile of the perpetrator. It became evident that this was not a random act of violence, but a premeditated crime executed with precision, exploiting both environment and human psychology. In moments of terror, the truth often hides in plain sight. Every glance, every pause, every reaction can reveal more than words. The investigation had begun, and every detail, no matter how small, would bring the story closer to the truth, a truth that would shock all who thought they knew the night's events. The investigation had begun in earnest, but the truth remained buried beneath layers of chaos and confusion. Detectives Emily Hart and Jacob Lee reviewed every piece of evidence repeatedly. Subtle shadows captured on CCTV, inconsistent witness statements, and forensic clues began to form a chilling picture. Among the guests, one figure emerged as a person of interest: Ryan Blake, Liam Reynolds' business partner. Small details, his movements near the back of the loft during the blackout, a blood-stained jacket, and traces of lipstick that didn't belong to any female guest, began pointing toward him. Ryan's composure during the chaos stood out starkly against the panic of others. While Sophie Miller screamed, Ethan Ward tried to make jokes, and Maya Collins observed quietly. Ryan's calculated calm drew the attention of detectives. They began piecing together the timeline: the brief blackout, Liam's disappearance, the struggle in the bathroom, and Ryan's seamless return to the party. All suggested meticulous planning rather than spontaneous violence. Every action, every glance, every pause was intentional. As forensic teams analyzed the blood patterns, broken glass, and object placements, it became clear that the crime had been carefully staged to mislead. The blood-stained jacket was positioned to suggest resistance, the lipstick mark to confuse investigators, and every movement during the blackout served to delay discovery. This was a premeditated act, executed with precision. Interviews revealed motive hidden behind years of friendship and business ties. Ryan and Liam had shared a past marred by financial loss and resentment. A minor argument during the party reignited old grudges, providing the spark for the deadly act. Investigators realized that what appeared as a random murder was actually a culmination of long-standing anger and calculated revenge. When Ryan Blake was called to the police station for questioning, the detectives presented their evidence: CCTV footage, forensic analysis, and witness accounts. Ryan's calm demeanor persisted, almost eerily, as handcuffs closed around his wrists. The meticulous nature of his planning became evident. A man who had thought through every detail now faced the consequences of his actions. Psychologists studying the case noted traits common among organized, methodical offenders: ability to manipulate social perception, strategic use of environmental factors like darkness and panic, and premeditation designed to mislead both witnesses and investigators. The crime was not impulsive. It was the result of calculated intent. As media coverage escalated, the story of betrayal and murder captured public attention. Headlines recounted the shocking facts, emphasizing the calculated nature of the act and the chilling calm of the perpetrator. Friends and family struggled with disbelief and grief, unable to reconcile the friendly face they knew with the calculated criminal revealed by evidence. By the early hours, Ryan Blake had been formally charged with first-degree murder. The investigation had unveiled the truth behind the horror: a carefully orchestrated act, hidden in plain sight, carried out by someone the victim trusted implicitly. Justice was only beginning. But the dark events of that night would leave lasting scars on everyone involved. The party that began with laughter ended in betrayal and blood. The killer had hidden among friends, executing a plan with cold precision. But the truth, once uncovered, shone relentlessly, revealing not just the crime, but the darkness that can lie beneath the brightest smile. The loft on S.E. Alder Street, once alive with music and celebration, now stood silent and still. Confetti clung to the floor. Empty glasses reflected the pale morning light, and the faint smell of blood lingered among the remnants of the birthday party. Friends and family of Liam Reynolds struggled to process the horror, shock, disbelief, and grief intertwined as they tried to reconcile the joyful celebration they had witnessed with the violence that had occurred in mere moments. Portland itself was shaken. News outlets covered the story extensively, highlighting not only the murder, but the betrayal by someone so close to the victim. Social media feeds overflowed with tributes to Liam and expressions of disbelief. The community met in small gatherings to discuss the tragedy and the unsettling realization that danger can hide behind familiar faces. Liam's mother, Teresa Reynolds, voiced the grief felt by many. "I can't believe it. Someone he trusted did this. He was full of life, gone in an instant." For those present at the party, emotional scars were profound. Sophie Miller, the first to discover Liam, grappled with guilt and trauma, replaying each moment in her mind. Ethan Ward, normally the Joker, became withdrawn, unable to laugh or joke as he once did. Maya Collins, the observant newcomer, found herself haunted by details others had dismissed. Survivors carried invisible scars, wrestling with fear, grief, and the lingering question of what could have been done to prevent the tragedy. Legal proceedings added another layer to the aftermath. Ryan Blake's arrest and subsequent charging with first-degree murder brought intense media scrutiny. Investigators presented evidence meticulously: CCTV footage, forensic reports, witness statements, and behavioral analysis. In court, Ryan remained unnervingly calm, his composure contrasting with the grief and shock surrounding him. Psychologists noted that his organized, methodical nature had enabled the crime to be executed with precision and deception. The city reflected on the broader lessons. Observers noted the importance of vigilance and awareness, even in moments of celebration. Experts emphasized understanding human psychology, recognizing subtle cues, and creating support systems to help those affected by trauma. The story of Liam Reynolds became a somber reminder that appearances can be deceiving, and evil can hide behind the most familiar faces. Despite the tragedy, friends and family sought ways to honor Liam's memory. Memorials were held, photographs and stories shared, and moments of remembrance celebrated his life before the fateful night. Sophie spoke at a memorial, saying, "Liam was full of laughter and kindness. We cannot let this darkness erase who he was. We remember him for the joy he brought into our lives." As Portland slowly returned to its routines, the loft remained a silent witness to the events of that night. Memories lingered, scars remained, and the story became part of the city's collective consciousness. The investigation had revealed the truth. Justice had begun its course, but the echoes of betrayal, grief, and the calculated crime would remain in the hearts and minds of all who experienced it. Narrator voiceover: the night that began with laughter ended in blood. The killer had hidden among friends, executing a plan with cold precision. Yet truth prevailed, memories endured, and resilience emerged from grief. Liam Reynolds' story reminds us that darkness can sometimes lurk behind the brightest smiles, and that even in tragedy, we must remember, reflect, and learn.